Hey there, hi there, hello there. The bottom row is going to get muted tonight, I think. It's me, Bear Gen X GM. How y'all doing? We're here. We are playing against the Dark Master. And I am the real Dark Master. I'm the opponent they're actually all facing, not some imaginary Dark Master. How y'all doing tonight? Hope you're all doing all right. It's good to be here. We've got one viewer. Look at us. We are on fire with one viewer. Pretty good stuff.
It's just the night. It was kind of like that on my show tonight, too.
I'm good with it. I'm good. I don't feel like doing this, so go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us about your character before we start. Go with Chris, then Cody, then Len, then Clay.
I'm Christopher Logan Hill, the G.I. Joe gamer. Playing Lothirgin Trueforge.
Hey, I'm Cody, and I'm playing... Whoa.
Tell us about your character. You told us his name, and then we're like, oh, I'm done.
Well, he's a dwarven merchant from the Green Mist Mountains. Is that better?
That's a hell of a lot
better. I sell
better.
the finest weapons from Embark.
There you go. Now we're cooking with fire. All right, Cody, go.
I am playing Thallo Woodward, a Hufflin wizard apprentice from the Wexshire, I believe. Yeah, that's about it.
No, that's about it. All right. Len.
Hi, I'm Len Pimentel, and I'm playing Darius Khan. I hail from the deserts of the south. I am an archer, and any relation to any other characters that I may have played named Darius Khan, who are archers, with something of a Persian-esque background, is entirely coincidental.
So are you literally telling us that you didn't even bother making a new idea for this? You just recycled something from some other game?
There may be a superhero named Parthian out there.
My heart there. She's a little broken. She's like that. We were like this, then we were like this, and now you made it like that. It's all on you, sir. All right, Clayton.
I am playing the character of Lyam. He is a knight of... I do apologize.
It's okay, it's only your character.
I'm a noble knight who carries the banner of Lord Colwyn, the eldest son of House Collian, who rule the fief, or fief. I keep mispronouncing that word for some reason. The fief of Caer Collian. Collian.
Nice. Caer Colwyn and Caer Collian and all that good stuff. So there we go. And I'm Bear. I'm everybody else. I'm everybody they have to deal with. I'm all their friends, their loves, their hopes, their dreams, their nightmares, all rolled into one. I am the Dark Master. I like that. And I like that whoever it was who said that they figured out that against the Dark Master is against the DM. I always thought that was kind of like a pretty clever catch on there that, yeah, and it seems like that's what it is, huh? But we are not like that. We don't play antagonistically, do we? Are we? Is that our plan?
Yes. No.
We'll find out.
Yes. No. Yes. Yes. You love it. And if you know what movie that reference is from, you're a giant nerd like me. Nobody? Nobody's got that one?
Sounds familiar, but I can't.
Kirk and Spock, Star Trek 4. When do you like Italian? Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. You love it.
That's right. That's right.
So we will very quickly allow for everyone to be able to talk about a little bit of some stuff. Now, I have 16 million screens open right now. So Mr. Lyam comes from this place here, which is the Lordship of Colwyn. Not far to the south in the Green Mist Mountains, and Anzang Bar is where our lovely Lothirgin comes from, which is fantastic. To the south of him in Wexshire is where we would find Thallo's origin point. And then all the stinking way down here across the Sunni Sea and then just head to the Kalimri Desert, which this is just a little bit of it, and keep going south, and it opens up into a massive, vast desert. And at the very, 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 very bottom of it, there is a mountain range, a ridge of mountains, much like the Andes, except somewhat shorter, but that kind of length. And that is the Tarakic states, and that is where he is from. He is from the Tarakic states, which are a member in good standing of something called the Crimson Empire, which rules the entire south and is very far away. So there we go. Now we know where everybody's from. Now we know what's going on, except for something else that you all left out. Why your characters are out here in this world and on their way to a specific place. So who wants to say first what drove them forward?
It's easy for me. I sell anything and everything that my clan wants me to. So I'm out in the world.
Chris, remember that whole part where I said you have to come up with a reason and an encounter your character had with the forces of the Dark Master, which have been pushing him towards going to Lorrill because you've all been being brought to Lorrill. Remember that part?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Yeah. So you can think about that while the others talk.
Okay.
Cody.
Yeah, so Thallo was just just comes from like a normal, labor family in the Wexshire. But his father at one time was actually like a bounder. So he wasn't so much an adventurer, but he did like go outside of the boundaries of, the Shire somewhat every once in a while. But he was very interested in this old hermit that lived near the Tanglewood, which I don't know if we came up with a name for him.
No, we never did.
No, I don't think we did. And I'll think of a name for him. I don't have one.
Oh, and I did finally, by the way, name where you're from in Wexshire. And those who get this reference read the same books as me. You're from the town of Buskydell.
All right, awesome.
It's right there.
All right.
Anyway,
so this master of mine, I think we'll call him Afair. How does that sound?
Afair? Sure, I like that.
Yeah. Afair was an actual wizard. Now, probably a lesser wizard considering in the grand scheme of things, but for Hoffland communities and the Shires, pretty potent stuff, and kind of a wise man, but also kind of like a kooky hermit. And people look to him for advice and all that kind of things, but most of the time they just kind of stay clear of him. But he kind of took me under his wing for one reason or another, probably because I had some kind of potential to be a magic user and my curiosity and intelligence. One day, though, a peddler came into town, and this peddler was slowly corrupting the folk in the town, and only Afair noticed what was going on. And he drove him off, and then he realized, he realized that this might be a portent of, greater evil. Now, one thing about Thallo also is he has visions, and usually visions that sometimes come true and sometimes they don't, but they're always usually bad. And he had a vision about this this peddler that came through, that he was actually like a lower minion of the Dark Master, and he was trying to corrupt. He was basically kind of like an advanced scout of the Dark Master, and that was trying to corrupt the Shires. And so Afair learned that there was this meeting happening, which I don't remember the name of the location. You would have to remind me, Bear.
Lorrill.
And he asked me to accompany him on this mission, that there was going to be a gathering of all types of people from all over, representatives from all the different nations and such, and that there might be a coming threat from the Dark Master, and then I should probably accompany him. Against my parents' wishes, I have left on my way, and in our travels, we were, what's the word? We were overtaken.
Waylaid
By servants, probably of the Dark Master. Aether basically, sacrificed his life to save mine. I escaped into the wilderness. Young Hofflin with a little bit of magic potential, but not much, quite reluctant and eager to see the world, but very ignorant. And that's pretty much where I'm at now.
Okay. Well, that works. So there you go. Thank you for that, sir. All right. So as you can see on the screen, that would be our young Thallo. That would be his master, who is no longer with us, and basically was, I believe we had agreed upon that he had been, you guys had been bum rushed to a certain extent, and he basically told you to keep going, and he was going to, handle it, and that's the last you saw of him.
Right.
And you presume he died. Okay. Beautiful. And that was in the Tanglewood of all places, which is, a horrible place to run into bad people. All right. Next, we will go to, we might as well do the pretty one. There you go. Len, tell us all about this bastard. And why he's here.
Darius is an unusual case in that he's a human that was raised by elves, which is very unusual. The elves of this desert found him. And while normally they would sort of let things happen, for whatever reason, there was something about Darius, maybe where they found him or what was going on at the sky at the time, that made finding young Darius actually in line with some prophecy, something involving the Dark Master, something about being a thorn in the Dark Master's side. So these elves ended up raising me. And so I am a desert, I don't know if we want to call it raider per se, but let's say a desert warrior, archer. And, but I'm not super jump into the fray courageous either. Having said that, though, at one point we were out hunting, and we came across what I can only assume was a caravan from somewhere else that was that had been waylaid. I think we actually came upon them while the very last remnants of whatever minions of the Dark Master completed their assault on them and then vanished. So we got there just at the very, very end of the battle, basically. I don't know what specific minions, and I may not even have any knowledge of what they were. I mean, I may well that Darius just saw shadows vanishing. But in any case, we ran to see if we could help them, but just about everyone was dead except for one guy who was dying but not dead. Didn't get his name, didn't get anything, except when I went to help him, he was holding this bow that looked gorgeous, and he literally put it in my hand. He reached into his pocket, he grabbed I don't know if it was a scroll or if it was like a folded paper, like envelope equivalent, but he handed me the bow. The minute I grabbed it, I felt that there was some power there. Saw a bunch of visions that made no sense at all to me. And he handed me the envelope and said, go, for I have failed. And basically there's this guy here dying, asking me to go somewhere. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Sure. And before anything else, he died. So much to my dismay, I literally made this guy a dying promise that I, at the moment, was just saying yes to try to calm him down. But lo and behold, my oath, my word is my vow. Now I'm like, he died. And now I'm like, okay, what did I agree to? And apparently he was going to this conclave incredibly far up north where I've never been before. I'm not even sure why this person was summoned. I'm not quite going in his stead so much as I am going because he asked me to go. I'm probably, in my mind, going to just tell them, hey, whoever this person was, unfortunately, he fell. So, and he had this. and to offer this bow, which is very clearly there is some power with a capital P in this weapon. So I have made my way up north just to, my word is my vow. I'm probably very cold, no matter what the season is, and I'm headed north to maintain the vow. And when I told the elves who had, I guess the elves who I live with, about this, one of them, probably an old woman, seemed to have a very knowing look. And when I asked her about it, she talked to me about the circumstances surrounding them finding me in the first place, and that she said that of course you're going to go. I've seen this. This is why we saved you. This is what where you're meant to go. And when I ask, okay, where does that, where is this going to take me? She wasn't sure. At least she didn't tell me she was sure. To me, it seemed like maybe she knew more than she was telling me and didn't want to tell me, which doesn't make me feel great. But again, at the end of the day, I've given my word, and I'm headed up north to this meeting, this council, whatever it is, to let them know that this particular person isn't going to be there, and he was carrying this, and I guess it belongs. I guess maybe you guys want this, and that's that.
Okay. Just to clarify lore, the elves that raised you are called Daruda. That's actually if you go into the private chat and StreamYard, I put that there for you. They're called Daruda, and basically they're a sect of elves that moved to the desert back when there was the great schism of elves after the second age of man, when they lost their immortality fighting the second disciple of the Dark Master. And they basically decided after you fought these creatures or these things that the human word jinn was probably the best description of what they were. So that's basically, to your mind, you fought jinn, and that works perfectly. All right, so that takes care of him. And again, for everybody watching at home, you need to understand this guy had this encounter somewhere about here on the map, somewhere down here, maybe here, and now he has to go all the way, or had to go all the way. So far to here. Meanwhile, everybody else was roughly from the neighborhood, except for Lyam, who was up here. All right, let's move on to Lyam. Lyam, let's talk about you and why you're here.
Well, recently, orc raids have been increasing in my homeland, displaying items and paraphernalia of the Black Church, which has caused alarm. And I have been sent to Laurel to find a way to to see exactly what's causing this, and because it does seem to be remnants of the Dark Master, and see what I can do about ending this threat.
Okay. So basically, for those watching, again, a little bit more lore for you. We are in what is called, we're coming to the end of the 6th age of man. At the end of every age of man, a disciple of the Dark Master arises, and then through usually some sort of alliance or something is put down. Normally, people take it very seriously. The thing is that the beginning or the end of the 5th age, beginning of the 6th age, something called the Red Death swept across the West and killed basically, 3 and 5 people. It was the Black Death on steroids. And as a result of that, things went weird. But then this church, this Erastianity, these priests showed up who could cure the Red Death. And now this, for the last 5 centuries, this one God, singular religion has spread across the West. It's even schismed into some what's the word that we use when a religion fractures? What are the sects?
Denomination.
Denominations, thank you. There's even different denominations that argue about what the holy words mean and all that. But as a result of that, most people feel that there will be no more disciples of the Dark Master, because clearly the one true God has returned and made everything great for everybody. Isn't life fantastic? At the end of the 2nd age, the elves were forced someone, and no one knows how, when defeating that current disciple at that point in time, they lost their immortality, and that caused them to splinter into various groups of elves, many of which absolutely detest humans because humans were responsible for the whole situation that led to it. So that's something that, you need to keep in mind. Elves, these aren't Lord of the Rings elves, and these sure shit aren't Waterdeep elves. These are elves that may or may not like you, or may not kill you, or may feed you. You'll never know. But the point is that the signs are now spreading throughout the West for those in the know that something is happening. And the big worry is that way the fuck over here is Azoth, the land of one of the former disciples, I believe at the end of the third age of man, and a lot of traffic is heading that way, which is making people get a little antsy. Though again, the Erastians are going, no, God will protect us. Pella Aris blesses us all. So that's the way it is. All right, Lothirgin, True Forge. And just because I'm never going to let anybody feel left out, this is this majestic dwarf bastard. What happened? Why is he going to Lorel?
My caravan, laden with weapons, was overtaken by a group of these cultists. I returned to Enzangbar in defeat and humiliation, and I am being sent into this council in order to reclaim my honor and the weapons and find out what's going on.
That's pretty straightforward, but it'll work. I like it. It's straight, it's simple, it's to the point. Now, normally I would say, let's all meet somewhere close to Lorel and get you all together and but in this case, we're not going to do that. In this case, we're going to start with you all having arrived in your own time in Lorel. Lothirgin, oh my God, Lothir, I can't say that name. True Forge, you are the last. Sorry? Lothirgin. Yeah, True Forge. You are the last to arrive, as you are the most recent to have this experience of encountering what is going on. Thallo, you arrived maybe a day or so ago and basically have been enjoying the hospitality of Lorel. Lyam, you arrived about 4 days ago and have been enjoying again the hospitality of all. And Darius, you arrived 2 nights ago and are very confused by this whole thing. For all of you who are of the West, and even Darius, you may have heard of this in the South because they are far-reaching. Lorel is the home to an order known as the Kalenites. And Kalenites are neutral scribes who are renowned for a couple of things. One of the things is that when they're young, they wander the lands, recording things, writing things down in their big books in their script that no one can decipher, etc., etc., etc. And legend says that every Kalenite going out into the land has a different topic that is theirs. One might, be charting trees. Another might be river fish. They all have their own thing that is their area of study. But as a result of this, they've managed to set up a network of way stations all across the West where basically a Kalenite can drop off their information and get new supplies, and then all of that information gets channeled back to Lorel, where the older retired Kalenites who are no longer young enough to go out into the world transcribe it all into volumes of history. And they've been around for about 4 or 5 centuries. They started at the height of the Red Death. There was a woman named Kalen who was walking around with a book and a pen, recording the name and the town of everybody she met. And it just grew out of that and took off. The second thing that the Kalenites are famous for is their neutrality. They do not pick sides. They are tell my wife I say hello. They are neutral in all things. As a result, that's earned them the trust of the crowns and the governments, even to some degree the churches of the West, and they get a lot of grace. This also transfers down to the common folk, where basically it's considered really good luck to feed a Kalenite or put them up for the night in the hopes that your name will be recorded in the histories of the West, and therefore you will have some sort of immortality as a person at that point in time. Kalenites themselves have taken vows of essential poverty. If they go to a tavern for the night, they sleep in the common room. they're happy to have yesterday's leftovers as their meal, things like that. So people love to feed them, buy them drinks, get them a room, just in that thing of hopefully having themselves recorded in history, which is a really important thing. There is also a legend of something called the Red Scrolls, and these are the deepest, most intense secrets of the West that the Kalenites hold on to. Some say they hold the family lineage of the last emperor who once ruled the West under the Theopolitan Empire, that they hold the lineage and know who his heir is and things like that. There's all that kind of legend that builds up around it. Like think in our world, think in terms of the Vatican Library and the mysteries that it's purported to hold. Well, that's where you are. You're at Loril. Loril was an elvish city in the mountains, and the elves that owned it have decided that the Kalenites are the only good thing humans have ever done. So they gave it to them, and they protect it. So you have to go to Greyharp in the Vales, and then go all the way up this mountainous valley along the river Lor. And it is the kind of river that it's not a very big river, it's not a very wide river, it's not a very deep river. But the path that goes from Greyharp to Loril is the kind of path that maybe two people can walk shoulder to shoulder. You know what I mean? Otherwise it's single file. So the idea of moving an army up this path to go raid Loril, all the while being under the attack of elves, that this is their place, they're going to melt into the mountains like guerrilla fighters, is insane. So no one does it. But there's a lot of people who wish they could get access. And that's why also Kalenites don't recruit. They only raise orphans, people who have no connection to any of the political powers or the other factions of the West. They get orphans and they raise them from babies almost to adulthood there. So every Kalenite is fully dedicated to this concept. You are there. As I said, it's a beautiful elven city in the mountains, built at a rill where the source of the river Lor comes fumbling out of a spring in the side of a mountain. There are no elves walking around that you see. None of you have seen any elves. They don't hang out, but you have been made clear that they are near and they are watching at all times. The Kalenites themselves are mostly gray, would be the color of choice that would be considered their color, because everything is undyed, uncolored. It's all like basic, you know what I mean? Like they produce the fiber, they make a cloak out of it, and away they go. The younger guys tie their robe with a piece of rope, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. But for those of you who've been here more than a day or two, you've noticed that there's almost a constant stream of people and traffic coming up and down, mostly 90% Kalenites, bringing supplies in or taking things out. There's constant movement going on, and it's very clear this place could not survive a siege. This place could not survive any lack of supply coming into it, because it is a mountainous, beautiful, fortressy type elven city, but they can't grow anything. They can't keep livestock. The only thing that they've got in spades is fresh water coming out of a crack in a mountainside that makes a river, so it's not really it's not a long-term plan for anybody to hole up here, is what I'm trying to say. But it is interesting. And there are a couple of buildings that you are not allowed in. And these are clearly the libraries, where the archives, where they store all of their information. You did get to see Thallo. 3 Kalenites arrive the other morning, and they were carrying literal, think of a soldier's 90-pound kit, the big rucksack type thing, full of papers that they were basically bringing up from way stations to be cataloged and handed off to the scribes who are going to transfer it to the archive. So it's an interesting place. No music, not a lot of laughter. I mean, it's ultimately, scribes. They're either reading, or they're writing, or they're sleeping, or they're eating for the most part. But you have been assigned, all of you, a Kalenite by the name of Alfric, and he is an older man. probably in his, at this point in time, Alfric, I would say, is probably mid to late 30s at this point in time in his life. He's not a young man by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not an old man either. He's just, he's at that age where perhaps, perhaps his usefulness is getting to be questionable. And you've picked up a couple of things from him. One, he's very, very sarcastic, dryly sarcastic. Two, he seems absolutely enamored by anything colorful you people have on you. And you hear him muttering to himself about gray quite a bit, like he's had just about his fill of gray. And he can speak all of your languages, all of them, including yours, Darius, both of yours. He can speak the Tarakic tongue of your people, and he can speak the Darudic, what's the term I'm looking for? God, my brain can't figure it out. Dialect of the elves of Daruda. So he's quite well versed, and he's happy to hear any stories you have to tell, and he's happy to get a pint and drink with you and talk to you and all that kind of stuff. But it's been a couple of days, and you feel, especially you, Darius, because despite being raised by elves are no longer immortal in this world. So there's a bit of impatience settling in for you, and you feel a bit like maybe you're being stalled or something, but like something should be happening at this point in time, and yet you guys are just every day getting up, having breakfast, wandering around this place, talking to Alfric. It's just nothing's happening. You're just stuck in some sort of strange holding pattern. Now, Thallo, you're fairly chill. You're a Hofflin. Even an excitable Hofflin is chill by everybody else's standards. So, whatever. The food's good. The drink's good. The air's clear. It's nice. You got a lot on your mind, so it's pretty easy to relax here and chill out a little bit. Lothirgin, to say that there is no love lost between elves and dwarves in the West would be to say that water is not wet. They hate each other. And the reason they hate each other is because at the end of the Second Age, when the elves lost their immortality, stopping the second disciple of the Dark Master, the humans had turned, the Athalasians had turned and against the elves, and the dwarves took the Athalasians' side. And as a result of that, the eternal split between the two races has never been healed. So this is an uncomfortable place to be. There's no other dwarves here. Everything is elvish or human bolt-on. Like it's really weird to look at it from your perspective, because it's like the architecture is all elvish, but then all that shelving is human. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. It's almost like humans have invaded it. You know what I mean? So you're getting a little dwarfish about the whole situation.
Antsy.
Sorry?
Antsy,
exactly. And Lyam, for you, you have the benefit of a diplomatic upbringing. You have the benefit of being raised in court. You have the benefit of understanding things happen when they happen, and it is very, very, very socially inappropriate to say anything rude. You don't be rude, you be polite, things like that. But even for you, this is starting to feel like it's getting a little long in the tooth, and like something should be happening. And we will open there on the third morning that Darius has been here. So the second morning for Lothirgin. So 24 hours was already too much elf shit for you, buddy. And the four of you find yourself at breakfast eating yet another delicious bowl of porridge. But this time with honey and cinnamon, which is making it much, much more palatable today, But you find yourself sitting at a fairly big table in their mess hall area. The ranks and rows of Kalenites ate about an hour before you and have already gone off to whatever their daily tasks are. So it's just the four of you sitting at the table having your breakfast. And from there, you may role play.
Good morning, fellow adventurers.
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention, the term adventurer is considered a really bad word in the West because the Red Death, remember that thing in the Red Death I told you about? It was adventurers who brought that out of the ruins of Verendi, of ancient Verendi. And as a result, they, people. So basically, this was the end of the empire, and treasure hunters, tomb raiders brought this Red Death out of it. So as a result, there are professional adventurers, but they call themselves explorers. Like they've put a fine word on it, but the term adventurer is considered pretty much like dirt. So
Bear, one question before we
Yep.
roll. What was, and you're going to have to tell me his name again so I can write it down, the sarcastic 30-year-old
Alfric. I'll write it in the private chat.
Alfric. What did Alfric respond what did he say, or how did he handle during the 3 days? Because what I would have done at some point during that 3-day period is to be like, hey, I'm not supposed to be here, but this other guy was. You should know he's not going to make it. Here's his bow, which I really wouldn't want to give up.
I would suggest you hold on to that. And if you're here for a reason. So,
really?
Oh, yeah. One thing I've learned in my time, young master, is that nothing, and I mean nothing, is random in this world. Sleeping gods be damned. Things happen whether you like it or not. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have tasks to do. If you need anything, ring the bell. And with that, he leaves you.
Cool. Okay.
With a bow and no answers. Because fuck you,
cool.
That's why.
Cool. All right.
As I welcome you to the world of fuck you, that's why, which is something you're getting used to here in the West. People seem to have a real, well, I'm doing my thing and I don't have time for your shit attitude. Just give me a second, by the way. I have, I think, this would be the right one. Oops. Give me a second. I'm so sorry. I apologize. There we go. And I will show you all. This is Alfric. And this is a fairly good representation of the level of bullshit you guys are currently finding yourselves in for structuring. But this is Alfric. So there you go. All right. So you guys are having breakfast, the four of you, by yourself.
Well, I got to say, the porridge is much more palatable and delightful today.
Indeed.
Are you going to eat yours, Loth? Or
I shoved the porridge over to him.
Politely, but you just ravenously, like you could. I'm like eating it really fast, and then I slow down, look around, and
I look at Darius. How long do you think they're going to make us wait? You seem to have that demeanor about you. You seem to know them better than we do.
That, my friend, is an illusion. I am entirely lost here. I'm not even quite. In fact, perhaps you can tell me. This may sound like a strange question, but what are you three doing here? And for that matter, I will put myself into the fold. What are we doing here? And if you're wondering why I don't even know what I'm doing here, I'll tell you it's because I'm actually here in someone else's stead, who unfortunately was journeying here and fell. And of course, our friend Alfric seems to believe that nothing happens by chance, and accordingly that the gods or fates or whatever the case may be has me here for a reason. But at the very least, the three of you presumably have some reason for being here. I don't even know the reason why this poor fellow was on his way here. So I would love it if you could enlighten me.
But for my part, I'm here because I failed. But they are taking counsel, and I was sent.
Counsel for concerning your...
I believe these cultists, perhaps, attacked my caravan.
Cultists?
I thought they were Aristian. They were not. They were wearing masks. I have very little to go on.
They weren't Jinn, though, were they? I'm not even sure if Lothirgin's heard the.
Exactly.
You have no idea what he means with the word gin. It's like, well, no, they weren't a drink made from juniper berries in the mountains.
And what about you fine fellows?
So for you, Liam, when you heard him say he was attacked by cultists, remember, you've been dealing with Black Church paraphernalia on orcs, which is a strange thing. So that might be a connection for you.
Gotcha. I described the paraphernalia that they would have, that the orcs have been carrying to Lothirgin. Do these sound like the symbols the cultists may have been wearing or showing?
So the symbol of the Black Church is a 3-barred cross. So it's a long, short with a long in the middle, right? It's a 3-barred cross. And that's what the cultists had that attacked you, Lothrin, and those are what the orcs had, Liam. And now that you think about it, Thallo, that's kind of what the guys you were dealing with had too as a symbol. For you, Darius, there was no symbols. It was all demons of smoke and shadow, you know? And
Black
fire.
crosses, but no orcs. I would have remembered that.
Well, it sounds like I've come to the right place. I'm seeking allies against the Black Church, and it sounds like these are all followers of the Black Church. It seems like the Dark Master is accruing forces once more, even though the Church says that this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening.
Well, if you're going after them, then I will as well.
So I have your sword?
If I carried one of those puny weapons, no, I carry a dwarven axe.
So as he says that, from behind you, Thallo, a finger goes into your porridge and then comes out, and that's not bad. The cinnamon makes it better. And you basically turn around and sort of look, and there's a man. He's clearly must be human, but he can't be more than 4.5 feet tall. Like he's like, you know, the tallest of ever Hofflin sized, and, you know, medium size for a dwarf. He's wearing green robes. He has a big floppy hat on, and even though he's aging, he has a giant orange beard that's just starting to get gray in it despite his age. And he's got a stick, and he's got in his hand this thing. It's long, it's round, it's smoking on one end. You've never seen anything like it, but it's sort of like, it's like a stick that's acting like a pipe. And he just kind of goes, yeah, no, that's better. I like that. I think they should do that more often. They definitely need to put this in the porridge on a regular basis. Mind if I join you, lads?
Not at all, though. It is rather rude where I come from to stick your hand in somebody else's food.
Well, you know, where I come from, it's not like that. But I apologize if I offended your sensibilities.
No offense taken. I mean, we can get you a bowl, have a seat. Maybe you got one of those. Maybe you got one of those.
That finger food was enough for me. I'm fine. I'm good. And you, Master Trueforge, you're a strange sight within these elven halls. And then young Lord Liam here, and then the one from the desert, Darius Khan. Now you're a strange man. I can't help but have overheard your conversation, gentlemen, and I will tell you this. No one is where they are by accident. Your friend Alfric's right. Everything happens for a reason. That bow is in your hands for a reason. You are here for a reason. You three were dealing with agents of the Black Church for a reason, because something is stirring in Azoth, and it is calling all evil to it. And out of that will come the next disciple of the Dark Master. But I could be wrong. I'm an old man after all.
And who are you, my friend?
Oh, pardon my manners. My name is Onagax. I'm a great and powerful wizard from a far-off land known as Brooklyn. You won't find it on a map. No, ask around. It's legit. I'm a great and powerful wizard. It's true.
Oh, a wizard. Interesting.
Magic.
I know it's the worst magic, always causing problems. You know, once upon a time, dwarves were great practitioners of magic. But
Good
then,
magic. Earth.
No. Rune magic. But then the Adelaisians introduced them to the idea of forging steel, and the dwarves lost their minds. And then they built their minds to put their minds in their minds. What are you going to do? So
are you a Kalenite?
I'm a great and powerful wizard from the far-off land of Brooklyn. Where would you?
So you're just passing through.
First of all, I'm wearing green. Thank you very much.
Oh, then I would have said. Then clearly you're not a Kalenite because you're not wearing gray.
No.
So what are you doing here? Are you here? Clearly, there's a reason because nothing happens by chance. I heard that.
Right. You're here because I called the council.
It's your council.
I called the council, yeah. See, there used to be 10 of us. Now there's a few more, but we still call ourselves the Circle of 10. And no one listens to me when I say we got to update, modernize, be more progressive, get in tune with the times. But they don't listen to me. So we're still the 10. And, well, we had a little meeting, a little confab. And let me tell you, when you get 13, 14 wizards together to talk about something, it goes on and on and on and on. But eventually I had enough of their man. I said, let's call a council. Put out the call. Anyone who's had any dealings with the Black Church, potential disciples of the Dark Master, anything, let's go to Laurel. So here we are. You're the 4 that showed up, and her. And as he says that, you guys hear a clanking and like metal rubbing on leather type sound. And then Thallo, one of the nice things about being a Hofflin is that you have incredibly acute senses of smell. It's how you know the pies are ready, right? It's, even when you're out in the field working, pie time, you know what I mean? Like you guys are good at that. And you can smell oil, leather, and steel coming. And as you sort of turn your head and look, you see a woman walk into the room looking a little like she just got off a horse type travel worn. She's tall, thin, narrow of frame would be the polite way to describe her build. Boyish, would be another way to describe her ladylike figure. She has short, blonde, spiky hair. She's wearing brigandine armor, and she's just sort of looking around the room, trying to figure everything out. Now, sadly, the picture doesn't have brigandine because I couldn't get it to make brigandine, but that's what she looks like. Oh, yes, and she also has a massive scar down one side of her, on the left side of her face. And she just sort of looks around, and Arnagesh goes, over here, and he just does this with his hand, and she just sort of gives a look, and then sort of walks over. And then looks at you, Lyam, and goes, my lord, are you the commander here?
Facto, possibly.
And she sort of looks at the dwarf, looks at the Hofflin, looks at Arnagax, who's just grinning and smoking the whole time, and then looks at Darius, and then looks back at you and goes, if you're not the lord, if you're not the commander, my lord, who is in charge of this? I've been summoned here.
Apparently the wizard from Brooklyn's in charge.
Yes. Oh, no, I'm not in charge. I'm just the guy who brought us all together. You guys need to figure out who's in charge. Sit down. Gentlemen, Piri Reese. Piri Reese, the gentleman. They can introduce themselves.
Lothirgin True Forge.
Darius Khan. At your service.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. And she sits down. As the strange bearded man said, my name is Piri Reese.
Do I recognize her or her markings or?
I will let you make a cultures check to see if you can recognize the armor or the colors that she's wearing.
that all of us?
Cultures.
Is that all of us?
No way, Darius, you're far too southern. You would there's not even a chance you'd know anything about her people. Lothirgin, too human, and Thallo, who cares?
Don't care.
What the tall folk do is the tall folks' business.
There we go.
No.
Did that roll?
That rolled. You got a 42. Sadly, you didn't roll so hot. So
Gotcha.
no, you have no idea. But you also have a mouth and you can ask questions.
So where do you hail from, Perry?
Peary. Well, I'm originally from Beam, but of late I've been around. And that's when your brain clicks. And it's like, oh, this is a mercenary. This is a professional fighter. Yeah, Beam. So basically, south. So if you guys are all up here in Lorrel, south of you is an area where there are the nations of Estren, the Republic of Beam, Vascon, and Duvik, and they are also known better as the Pelathian League. They are also known as the people who caused the Atlantic Unification War not so long ago because of a little discrepancy that happened over the territory called Maryland, which isn't far away. You know about that, Thallo, because your people literally live exactly north of where the big fight happened and the war happened. And yeah, humans, they like to beat each other up a lot over stupid things. But yeah. Now, with that knowledge, you can roll again, Liam, and this time you can have a plus 25 bonus on that roll, sir.
Oh, wow.
55. I'll give it to you with that. Why are you getting a minus 20 activity penalty?
Look
at your character sheet.
Is that coming from my armor?
Oh, yeah. It shouldn't be coming on this.
Yeah, that's weird.
Where's your character, Liam? Whose character is not showing up in the character list? I got Darius, I got Liam, I got Thallo. Where's Lothirgin gone?
Is he there now?
No, I don't know what happened to him. Weird.
I'm there. I'm looking at it.
Listen, if you can see yourself, that's all that matters to me.
Okay.
Cultures. So you have 5 in it with a bonus of 20. So you would have been, I don't know where that minus 20 is coming from. It's acting like you've got an extra penalty on there. You don't. So 75 plus the 25 I gave you is 100, which is a success because you have to get 100 to succeed on any skill check other than combat. And basically, so now it clicks for you. Her colors are burgundy and bronze, brass, bronze, gold, that type of coloring. Those are the colors of the old Carolingian Empire, which all that area, Estrine, Beam, Duvik, and Vascon, were all part of ages past. And I won't go deeper into the lore on it from there, because otherwise I'm turning into Tolkien the Game Master. So I'm just going to say that she's wearing colors of an empire that hasn't existed for about 1,000 years.
Okay.
And is legendary. All across the West, in many, many cities, but further south more so than further north, there are these things called preceptories. And the preceptories are these rounded citadels that used to belong, or still do, to an organization known as the Knights of Gedrin. And the Knights of Gedrin were basically a mystic order of knights based out of Carolon and served the Carolingian Empire. When the Carolingian Empire was betrayed and destroyed 1,000 years ago, the Knights of Gedrin vanished from the West, locking their preceptories behind them. And in 1,000 years, no one has ever been able to open one of them up to see what's going on inside, but they're all over the place. So there's a lot of legacy and lore of Carolon that exists in the world. But again, 1,000 years since it existed. So a lot of myth, legend, and outright mistruths have grown up around it as well. But anyone in military and anyone trained in nobility knows of it, because that's part of the histories that you're taught as a youth. For the dwarves, not important. For the halfling, not important. And for the southerners, doesn't matter. But for you, because of where you're from and how you were raised, you would know some of this, and you would recognize those colors she's wearing.
Okay. Oh, I figured out where that negative 20 was coming from.
Where?
My current hit points was set to 0 instead of.
Oh, that'll do it.
Hit points. Yeah.
And that's why I'm more and more perpetrating the idea of rolling dice and looking things up in books as opposed to using automatic shit online all the time. In fact, if you guys want to roll physical dice at your desk, I trust you. If you want to roll dice as opposed to using the roller, I trust you. You may use dice as opposed to using that thing. It's up to you what you want to do.
I'll use the
Whatever
roller.
works. Yeah, whatever works for you, man. But in the future, if you want to bring dice to a game, it goes like dice. Okay, so that's what you know. And there's the thing. So Arnagax is just smoking and watching you guys all look at each other awkwardly. I love this. This is my favorite part of anything.
What can you tell us about? You may not be in charge, but you're the one who called us here, or called some of us here, and some of us weren't called, but apparently are meant to be here. In any event, what can you actually tell us? Is there something you want us to do? Is there some information you'd like to share with us? Is there anything?
Everything in good time, Darius Khan. You've already learned a lot today. You've learned that evil is on the move towards Azoth. You've learned that I, a great and powerful wizard from the far-off land of Brooklyn, have brought you all together here at Loril. You've learned that the world is larger than you knew it to be or even could fathom that it was. Now you wait. One more day. And you five get to know each other. And tomorrow we'll have the conference, the council, the great meeting of minds. And from there, a course of action will be decided. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got some books to read. And he gets up and starts walking out of the room without another word.
Moment leaves the room.
Yeah.
Turn to everyone else and I say, is it just me, or is that the strangest person you've ever met in your life?
No,
he
you're
seems like an all right guy to me.
I didn't say he seemed like a bad guy. Just the strangest person. I couldn't place his accent, and I've never heard of the land he's from.
No. He's definitely foreign to anything I've ever witnessed.
He's a wizard. Wizards are like that. I've worked for them in the past.
I turned to Puri. So I'm including her in the conversation. So none of you have ever met this wizard before?
No. But I've heard of him.
This is my first time here, as a matter of fact.
Your colors suggest you're from Colwyn.
Is this true? I'm of House Colwyn.
I've fought against your people. We were I've been part of a company that worked for the Duke of Shale in the last battle. You're fierce fighters. You're very fierce fighters and noble people. It's just a shame you don't use mercenaries. We could have fought for you as opposed to against you.
Well, we try to keep our own.
You're tall, you're mixed-blooded, you're an interesting people. And I love this hawk and hive thing that you have going on. Do you know that, Darius? And she sort of looks at you. They're people. The Colwins, the Colwinites, the Colwinians. What do you call yourselves? Anyway, they breed hawks and honeybees.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
Strange. Mixed blood.
Sounds lovely. Hawks
Kalish
for hunting and bees for the honey.
And they're mixed blood. Kalish and Dane. So half Attalasian. Strange people.
I, with nothing but the deepest respect for all of you, my new friends, find all of you a bit strange. So the fact that clearly none of you are cold right now, first of all, how you can
it's
stand
quite
it,
nice out here.
It's a beautiful, beautiful spring day.
I'm clearly dressed like Jon Snow from whatever.
Start a small fire on the table beside you.
My blood has not thickened up just yet, so I'm so, you know, and seen men working without even shirts on in this weather. I don't know how they survive.
You have a strange accent. It sounds a bit like the Verdant Coast or Beshite, but you're not Avarik, and you're definitely not Beshite the way you're dressed. Where are you from?
Do I know those folks?
Yeah, so Beshan is they're like the trading lords essentially of the south. Basically, if you go to the Sapphire Sea, the Padishah realm of Beshan controls, and then all of these people across here, the Adarites, the Assyrians, and even the Voldrani, the Verdant Shores are Aravic. They're the Aravi people. They are how do you say, your cousins in the Crimson Empire. The Crimson Empire, of course, being an empire of 1,000 peoples, so.
Gotcha. I just said my people hail from the Kalamiri Desert. So
the Kalimri Desert. No one lives there except nomads. Are you a nomad?
I am. I'm a hunter.
What do you hunt in a desert other than water?
In fact, yes, water. But interesting. Anything that's worth hunting also knows where the water is. So when you know what you're doing, you can find more than water, lady.
I did a campaign once for one of the emirs in Assyria against his cousin. It was hot. Sand got in everything. There's nothing worse than sand in your armor.
Ooh.
At this point, I'm being a gentleman and biting my tongue about there's worse. There's the slightest twitch of one corner of my mouth is the only thing that betrays the off-color joke running through my head that will not.
She just gives you the smile back that shows the scar just looks jagged and more like when she smiles. It's like her smile is the kind of smile that you're yeah, she's either finding this funny or about to stab me in the throat kind of smile. She has that mercenary feel to her. But she just sort of gives you this smile that, you sort of pick up quickly, she's probably heard plenty of off-color jokes in her existence.
I'm sure she's a mercenary, yeah. Probably in on the joke, but...
All right, so we're supposed to get to know each other. We cannot be rudderless, otherwise we'll be blown every which way in the wind.
Well, I don't want to kill any of you, so that's a good start.
She cocks an eyebrow at you and goes, Master Dwarf, you might find me harder to kill than most, but perhaps we should find better ways to express our pleasure with each other than not wanting to murder.
For those who
is this how is this
Black Church?
Is this how you get to know each other in the North?
I find all you big folk really hostile. All this talk about war and races.
I'm with you, little one. I'm with you. Thallo. I'm with you.
You must understand the politics of the West and the fall of the Regency that is upon us is, it's made cousins and brothers, not friends anymore, my good men. Where the Hofflin might be united and whatever peoples of the Crimson Empire you represent are who you are, we were once an empire united who has slowly and surely been falling apart, and the current Regency is not good at keeping it together, and everyone hates everyone. It's good for me. It means business is booming.
I agree with that.
Yes, you sell weapons, right, Azangbar?
Of course. And whatever else you may need.
I've tasted your steel. And she just runs her finger down her scar.
I thought I recognized our work.
An Asturian captain in the War of Merland thought that I would make an excellent tent wife and came at me.
A mistake on his part.
No, his blade cut well and sharp. I'll give him that. And it was clean and healed nicely. The 3 feet of steel I put through his stomach, on the other hand, was jagged and crappy by comparison. He did not die quickly nor quietly.
Seems like you acquired a new weapon that day.
I acquired a reminder. And she just touches the scar again. You
Do you have
weapon
any
merchants
pleasant
don't fight
stories?
alone. No, I don't. I'm a mercenary. Do you have any? Nomad?
Quite a few. At which point I tell a pleasant sort of child story joke about a lost camel, something to just sort of lighten the mood here.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and have you do a songs and tales roll, and I'm going to give you a +20 on it because you're trying to sort of break the tension of the humans and the politics of the West that you have no connection to. By the way, Thallo. Sorry, just real quick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I trust you, dude. Trust you.
Y'all better back up because I got 5 on this.
Okay, well, good luck, and don't forget you can
I'm
always
clearly-
spend.
I'm clearly one of those people who rambles with the stories or doesn't get the stories correctly, or I'm telling the joke wrong. I like to tell the punchline first.
There you go. So hold that thought, Thallo. This is why people, Hofflin, have been slowly migrating to New Shire because they've had just about enough of the tall people's bullshit. Hello, Misty. You gonna come say hi?
73.
Oh, it's a rare Misty sighting. 73. I'm going to give you that one. Basically, he awkwardly tells you a story about a boy and a camel, and you don't get half the references, and you don't know what he's referring to when he talks about certain. Like you figure out quickly as he starts explaining things to you, he has about 80 different words for sand, and heat. But you learn a new one, Scirocco. That's a new word for you. It means something about a hot wind, and that causes the dwarf to chuckle a little sophomorically because he's been known to lay down a Scirocco once in a while in impolite company. And eventually it breaks the ice and you all have a good laugh. Are you going down already? Okay, bye. It does what you needed it to do, which is de-glass everybody a little bit, or de-ice everybody, sorry, French. De-ice everybody a little bit and let you sort of just go and feel a little less tense. At which point she pulls out a flask, takes a slug, and then hands it to you, Darius.
Whatever it is, I take a drink. Absolutely.
It's good, but it's fiery as fuck. Like it's a rot gut,
I hand it to Thallo. I look at her. I'm like, it's smooth.
It's mercenary hooch. We brew it ourselves in our camps.
I just take a sniff and just pass it to Lothirgin.
Actually, when you sniff it, it immediately reminds you of Hofflin moonshine. You're just like, oh yeah, this is there's some potato in there, and you're sort of picking out the aromas. It's good. It's rough. It's not as nice as your stuff. Hello, beans. But it's good. It's good.
I smell it and then drink some, and then I hand the flask to Liam. It works.
Yeah, it's nice. It'll warm your belly on a cold day. So here's the problem with being raised as a noble. You drink a lot of wine. When you're slumming it, you drink a lot of ale. When you were younger, learning to be a knight, you encountered things like whiskeys and what have you, but you were taught, because your people love mead more than anything else because it's made from honey. And you were taught that whiskey was that paint removing shit that the salesman drank. You know what I mean? Your enemies. Now you know why. Because it's just like, ooh. That said, you are still raised properly enough to go and hand it on without making a scene out of it.
I'll let them know that my sphincter is now closed forever.
Do they have ale here by any chance? Do you know?
Not that I've seen.
It's going to be a long day. We can't drink too much of this. She puts her flask away.
So,
Hello.
all of us had some kind of experience, all these three, with some cult. Me with Jinn, and Darius tries to suppress a shudder and can't completely do so because he finds that absolutely terrifying. He's not entirely sure that his arrows would have any effect.
That's a weak drink.
And you?
So she sort of stiffens a little bit, takes her flask back out, takes another shot. Do you have legends where you are of man beasts? Men who become animals, men who become half animals, werewolves. I think the educated term is lycanthropes.
Oh, we have legends like that.
Nonsense.
Of course.
My company and I were heading home. First time in 5 years we were going to see Beam. We made it as far as the Baruz Highlands. He came on us at night. Man wolf. 10 were dead before we knew it was happening. Another 20. And then me. And then that strange little bearded man came walking out of the moonlight and told me to come here. And then a cloud passed over the moon, and he was gone. I have seen men fight. I've seen berserks fight. I have never seen a creature do what this thing did. He tore men twice your size, Lord Lyam, in twain, their entrails spilling out into the snow in the highlands. So,
Are you talking about the manimal people, or are you talking about the wizard?
No, the werewolf. I want revenge. That's why I'm here. So if this road takes me to a place where I can kill it or the people responsible for it, so be it.
We have similar purpose then.
Perhaps we do. Perhaps we
Sounds
all
like
do.
it is time for my people to take on a mercenary.
I don't think... Sorry, go ahead.
And I wish you all the very best of luck. And I take another drink of the alcohol. So
she just takes it back and she, puts the lid on. She goes, Darius Khan, right? That's your name?
Yes.
Are you aware of the mercenary tradition that if you drink and share war stories together, you are now bonded around the fire?
I am not, milady.
Welcome to the company of whatever we are. I assume the good Hofflin is here as a scout of some kind.
Scout?
I've seen Hofflin scouts.
No. I'm no scout. No.
Then what are you, little?
I'm just, I'm just here out of service of my master. He told me to come here. I came here. I am a learned Hofflin, no doubt. Learned amongst my people. I don't know how learned I am amongst you people or these people. They seem quite more learned than me.
Would you mind telling me what you mean by learned?
Learned, books. You know how to read, right? I pull out a book.
I can read.
So I read a lot of these.
I don't understand. You're a scribe?
I can write.
A lore master?
A bit. Just an apprentice, mind you.
Do any of you understand what he's saying?
I hope I don't.
I've seen him eat quite a bit, and he's a charming fellow. But beyond that, I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's normal.
Are you a purveyor of magic like the old man?
Well, I know a bit of it. I'm no wizard per se, but I know a little bit.
You can work magic?
A little bit. I wouldn't call myself a full blown wizard like our friend from the far land of Brooklyn or anything. But
my friend, being able to work magic is like being with child. You are a wizard or you are not.
So she laughs. She like that broke her. She just her head on the table laughing at that one. It looks like you're fully fucked, Thallo, not half fucked.
I guess I'm a half wizard.
Well,
Be
given
glad
that
you're
they're
a halfling.
halfling.
I will
Appropriate,
forgive the magic if it is small, I guess.
Make you a
Are we
wisdom.
referring to his height?
Or his capabilities with magic.
He said it was little. It was slight. He's a dabbler.
Dwarven humor is difficult, for sure.
Well, so have any of you found anything? I apologize. I'm still learning your language and I don't want to be rude. Anything not tremendously boring to do here?
A pony
While we wait another day.
comes plopping down on the table in front of you. Everything here is miserably boring, Darius. It's all gray and gruel. Alfric sits down. I found that in the incoming stores. I thought we might share it. A little ale.
I think it's delightful here. You people have books and good food. And what's not to like?
I do have honey.
You could use a little more color, though.
Indeed. I would kill for some scarlet, maybe a swath of blue, a nice verdant green tapestry.
I
They
took
say
my
when
red
we
beard.
first moved in here, the elves had left a lot of color, but we took it out.
Alfred, how do I say this?
With words, boy. With words.
Do matron Kalenites and patron Kalenites ever
Do we ever get together and
fall
make
in love to make little Kalenites?
It happens, but we have ancient brew that tends to rectify the situation quite amicably forever. But if a Kalenite wishes to leave and go and pursue their life, they can become excommunicated.
So once one cannot be a scribe while at the same time living a full life?
Don't mince words, boy. Ask the question you want to ask.
Can you not be a scribe and bed a woman?
Of course I can be a woman.
Oh, all right.
You'd be surprised exactly how many women want to sleep with a Canaanite because they think it's going to immortalize them in history, as if their lady parts were suddenly adamantine given down from the gods.
Honestly, I would have thought it was the fashion.
You're a very sardonic and droll desert dweller. Now, are we going to drink this keg, or are we going to sit around and talk about vaginas?
What's in the keg?
Ale.
Well, get a mug out. Let's drink. Maybe it'll lighten the mood. Jesus, people are so freaking dour.
Who is this Jesus of which you speak?
Darius is totally down for drinking probably more than he should.
So you guys crack open the keg and start drinking. And
The
I'm
wizard
going
from
to get
Brooklyn told him.
everybody but the dwarf, because this is like watery to you, are going to need to make, let's just call them toughness saves and be done with it. I'm assuming that was like a 2 or something.
It's a 14 on the dice, so that's a 39.
So, Liam, you're a little tipsy. What'd you get, Thallo?
129.
You're fine. You're just lovely. Darius, you're drunk.
Yes.
Lothirgin, you don't need to roll. And the mercenary seems fine, too. Alfric, on the other hand, seems to be getting quite into his cups. And another thing I'll tell you about this place that just makes it absolutely miserable. You're not allowed to sing.
No singing?
I love
No singing.
I have a good voice.
Why can't you sing?
Because it
Horrible.
disturbs the scribes.
Well, what if we sing and you just join in?
It will get us all into a world of shit, boy.
That'd be more interesting.
No singing in Laurel.
Can you drum?
What part of "Do Not Disturb the Scribes" was unclear?
What if we sing quietly?
No such thing.
I have been known to sing very quietly. He's saying this in an extremely overly loud voice.
And the nice part about being in a place that is effectively and completely full of librarians is that every few minutes, someone sitting at another table having, a late lunch or an early supper go, shh, and they just give you that, you're like, I'll tell you what we'll do. How about we go for a walk? We'll go sit by the rill. It's lovely, it's watery, and it's noisy enough that the scribes can't hear you over the water.
And we can bring this ale with us, right?
Bring whatever you like. Bring the table if you can carry it. I don't care. Let's go. I'm getting tired. And with that, he starts staggering out the door.
Follow.
Lothirgin, you want to help me with the table?
No, I'll take some of the ale though. I take a bottle of damn the mug at this point.
So you guys head out and you walk along balconies and vistas, and it's a beautiful place. And like this is a valley. This is a real valley. So the water over the millennia has cut this valley down from the side of the mountain until then it becomes the river and heads down to Greyheart. The place he takes you to is like it's almost like a natural table where it's like a flat rock head. Now, you take one look at it, Loth, and you go, huh. Dwarves cut this. This is absolutely dwarven plateau cutting. Like you're 100% convinced, but dwarves had nothing to do with this place, so that's fascinating to you. But there are rocks around that you can sit on and what have you, and there's this, I don't want to say jet, but like a spring of water coming out of the side of a mountain face, essentially, and then cascading down and going down deeper and becoming a river eventually. And it's loud, and it's wet. And it's so cold, Darius. The air is damp and cold, and you're from someplace dry and hot. This is very uncomfortable. And eventually, even Piri takes misery upon you and gives you her cloak to cover yourself with. And he's just shivering, but he seems quite engaged. And you guys spend the afternoon talking and drinking and what have you. And eventually, Darius will pass out because he's quite drunk. And slowly but surely you guys run out of stories and you run out of things to say, and you find you're just sitting quietly. Thallo, a nap is the perfect time. Put your feet up, smoke a pipe, and pull the hat down over the eyes type situation, right? And Piri just looks at you, Liam, and she goes, I'm worried.
What for?
Based on everything you've all said, Black Church, orcs, Jinn, what I saw, the thing about evil being called to Azoth. The Regency will not respond to this. The Othasian Empire will not respond to this. The Ostorians will not respond to this. The governments of the West will not take this seriously. If we could make it to Swordhold, we could probably convince the Duke of Adair. They're probably the last people in the West that would take this seriously. What about your people? What about the Lord of Colwyn? Would he take this seriously, or is he so Erastian that he too thinks that the good priesthood is going to save us from all evil?
I get the gist that my people do not believe the stories. They believe that the church is here and that we are saved. But from what my eyes have seen, I can't agree with that. That is why I've come here.
This little wizard, Arnagax, is mad to think the five of us are going to stand against the darkness. Or perhaps our deaths are meant to prove some sort of lesson, a rallying cry around our corpses.
Well, so long as we spill some of their blood along the way, I'm fine with that.
You'd make a fine mercenary with that attitude, but not an officer.
Adair does sound like a like a good choice. Have my people had much
No. So basically,
contact with them?
the thing about Adair is basically, so you're up here in Colwyn and all that shit, and you've got the Hawkspurs between you and the Kalish Highlands. Adair's sole purpose in all of the West, as a member of the Regency, is to prevent Astoria from basically taking access up the valley you guys went through to get to Lorril and spilling down into the rest of the West. That's Adair's purpose, right? So they've been fighting essentially a police action for the last century. You know what I mean? Like they're constantly every third or fourth spring there's a new skirmish over some piece of land they're contesting between the two of them. To the Duke of Adair's credit, the current Duke, he has been phenomenal at holding territory and taking back territory. Most recently, stealing the Wintry Hills away from the Principality of Carrick to the north of them, which is a member of the Asturian Empire. But in the olden days, he was always backed up by the troops of the Regency, the First Regency. You guys are in what they call the Second Regency, though they could just call themselves the Regency. It's the Second Regency, which is meant to be all the governments of the West contribute to this, and there is no kings, no emperors, no nothing. Well, that's gone out the fucking window with Astoria declaring themselves an empire and the Authasians jumping right in. And as a result, the only place you find Regency troops anymore is at their headquarters in Helm, and then those are made up of what the remaining members of the Regency can spare. So Adair, pretty much everyone realizes, now stands alone, even though they are a member of the Regency in good standing. So that's what you know from your political side of things, right?
You'd probably be curious why the weapons didn't get there either, because that's probably where.
Well, yeah, they do a lot of business with Azangbar. They do a lot. They've given almost all their mining rights over to the dwarves in return for weaponry and armor. The thing Liam, is that the Lord, your uncle, the Lord of Colwyn, would love nothing more than to establish a strong union with Adair. And rumor amongst the royal family is that his daughter, Ravenna, is to be married to the Duke. But that's rumor, and she's still 2 years away from that birthday that would allow her to be married off. So that's what you know, or you've heard.
Okay.
So eventually night comes, and some Kalanites come and collect you and take you for supper and put you back where it's warm, Darius, and things like that. And the night eventually passes. And in the morning, you're all woken up bright and early. And your head hurts, Darius, but not too badly. And water clears it up pretty quickly. And you're all basically ushered down to breakfast. And again, it's a lovely, lovely porridge and bread. Delicious. But there is honey from Colwyn that was delivered, so you get to have some honey on that bread, which is nice. Little reminder of home for Liam, which is good. And then Alfred comes to see you. And he goes, "Well, looks like that little council's about to happen, so I've been asked to bring you to it. Shall we?"
Indeed.
Let us proceed.
Okay, so you guys are led deeper into Lorril and eventually to a stairwell that is basically like a hidden stair behind some brickwork. Like you have to go around the corner of it to get to the stairs. And then it's a spiraling staircase that goes all the way up, and you find yourself emerging in the highest tower of Lorril. And this tower is basically like an open gilded, it's got a top to it, but the walls are gilded. Like there's open air flowing through it, and there's a table. And there are a half dozen elves there. But the elves you've seen in the desert, Darius, are Daruda. They are, they're Fremen, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? They don't dress fancy. And even though in their stone keeps with their oases and their water, they silks and colors and gold and life, but traveling is wrapped in, in dark and blend. Thallo, the elves you've seen passing around Wexshire for the most part are wood elves, wild elves. So they can either be super savage or just, woodsy, brown and green, hanging out in trees, but they like your people, so you get along fine with them. Liam, there are no elves up where you're from. They're pretty much legendary to you people, but there are some city elves that have wandered in, and city elves aren't very big. They're becoming shorter and shorter as they go. And Lothirgin, you've never seen an elf in your life, but you know what they are on sight.
Yeah.
This one, the one that is at the front of them, though, there is something about her that, first of all, none of them look like elves you've ever seen. Number one, they're all very well dressed, very soft colors. There's almost like an etherealness to them. They're almost, there's something off. Like they're not quite of the world, but they are. But they're exceptionally beautiful to look at. And the female that appears to be the one in charge of them is very tall. How tall is Liam?
Okay.
Sorry?
Find out.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
Well, I said I forget. Let me take a look here real quickly. Did I know his actual? We'll say he's 6'2".
So she's probably very close to your height. Okay? Very close to your height. And she basically smiles at all of you as you come in, and she goes, "Welcome. I'm Elian Tenoriel. And I will show you what she looks like now that I've given you a little bit of a lean on her." She, again, looks like no elf you guys have ever seen in the West, ever. "Please, won't you be seated around this table and we will discuss what needs to be discussed."
See.
So you all sit down. I'm sure you have many questions for me. I will ask them, and I will answer them as best I can before I share what I know with you and what I'm worried of.
Milady, I can't speak for the others, but I don't know enough to know what to ask. So with your leave, I would wait to hear you speak first and then see what questions your words may put in my mind.
We've often heard tales of the negotiation ability of the desert folk. How fare my cousins, the Daruda? Do they thrive in their desert?
They do. They do. Not precisely like this, but it is by their leave and their kindness that I'm here before you instead of bones bleaching in the desert sun. So,
bleaching in the desert sun is exactly where you'd be if you fought against your destiny. Is coming up the stairs is Arnagak. "Sorry, I'm late. Too many stairs." And he sits down. "Milady, continue, please." And he just gives you a pat on the shoulder, Darius, like, you're a good guy type thing. So, well, your wisdom is good. And the others, you have questions for me, or you just wish to know what I know?
Well, if you know of these cultists who attacked the True Forge caravan, I would know what you know.
Very well. Little one?
No questions.
And you, Captain
no
of
questions.
Colwyn?
No particular questions. Just from what I'm hearing, it sounds like Black Church is up to its old shenanigans. And
here's what I will tell you. This is what I know. The Black Church is nothing. The cultists you dealt with and the people you've seen and are a product of what is happening. I'm sure Arnagax told you that all evil is being called to Azoth, correct? Well, they are evil, and they are heeding the call, and they stumbled or crossed your path at an inopportune time, and you are now here because of it. Do you know why the elves are fractured? We've kept, I know, and not many of us talk to you. It's not the right choice. It was a wrong choice. As longest of stories as short as I can make it, we were once immortal, and now we are not. And the loss of that immortality was because of the disciple of the Dark Master. And the fracturing of how elves should move forward was what caused all the elves you know of. The wood elves, the wild elves. There are elves you've never met, like the Daruda in the deserts to the south, or my people. You know of the dragon elves to the north and their hatred of humanity and their raiding that they do across the bay. And you know of the ash elves, those ghastly, pale, white, magic-using elves who are attempting to extend their lives through magic. Unnaturally, they've become wraiths. There was an elf moot, a meeting of all the regises of the elf clans, the queens of the elves, of which I am one. And at that meeting, the regis of the ash elves did not attend. And the meeting was because the signs in the land are showing us that there will be a new disciple of the Dark Master. And we believe it will be an ash elf. And we believe that they have been promised the immortality they have lost. Our numbers are far more vast than you know. In the hills, in the trees, even the Umbari who live in the caverns below us. There are elves everywhere in this world. And there are many, if given the promise of the return of immortality, that would flock to the banner of a disciple of the Dark Master. And that would spell doom for all the other races. Dwarf and man would be wiped out. Halfling would be pets. Do you understand? That bow you carry, Darius, may I see it? So she takes it and she holds it. And as she's holding it, a silvery glow goes along it. And you start to see ruins and script and what have you. This is the bow that shot the arrow that killed the disciple that took our immortality. There is nothing a new disciple would crave more than to possess this bow. And she hands it back to you. And you are now its bearer.
Seems I am.
How did such a weapon come into possession of the desert dwellers?
The Daruda aren't many, but their clans are spread across the oases and rocks of the south. Some have even made it into the jungles. The less said, the better. But they took the bow to protect it and hide it. We called for it to be brought to the moot, and it never arrived. And now we know why. I cannot force you to undertake this task. I cannot pay you, beg you. I can do nothing but ask. Will you aid us in determining what's going on?
My sword.
I am disgraced until I do. Therefore, I have very little choice. But yes.
Well, my lady, I'm just a humble Hofflin, but my master thought otherwise and sent me here in his stead. So, you know, if you think I'm worthy of the task, I will gladly help you.
Piri's just like, my sword goes where his does, and she points at Lyam. You're the closest thing to an officer she's seeing around here, so she'll follow you, type thing, you know. And you, Darius Khan, the bearer of this unpleasant burden.
I will do whatever I must to protect my family.
Beautiful, says Arnagax as he slams his hand down on the table. That's what I wanted to hear. 5 heroes, and soon there will be 2 more, for your number will be 7. in the final analysis. But know this, one will fall and one will betray. Who? I don't know. The signs are hidden. I can't see them, but I know that they're going to happen. Here's where you got to go. You ever heard of a little town to the south called Kingsgate? And literally, Piri just smiles. Like the smile, just like that smile she showed you yesterday was her I'm a warrior smile. This is her I'm a happy little girl going home smile type thing. It lies between Estrin and ancient Carillon. It's a frontier town full of people and things and sights and what have you. And there is an ash elf who has a tower there named Ruvian Elator. You want to type that for you? Dear God.
You can do that later. You don't have to do it now.
Oh, I'm doing it now while I'm thinking of it. Ruvian's an old friend. He used to be on the council. He quit. He didn't want to be around other wizards anymore. I'm going to give you a letter. She's going to give you a letter. You'll take him to Ruvian, and then he'll put you on the right path of what you need to do next. But you got to get to him first. And that's a hell of a trip. So we'll stock you up, we'll fit you out, and send you on your way. But know this. The enemies know you're around now.
Good.
They'll be hunting you.
How is that good?
I'll do what I can to help.
I won't have to hunt them. They'll be hunting me.
I'll do what I can to help, but I can't do much because, as young Master Thallo might tell you, when you do magic, and he does this with his hands, and a little bunch of fireworks sort of pop, and he goes, a little magic. He goes, that's nothing. That's a whisper. But when you do big magic, for people like him and me and them, it's a roar in the ears. So I can't do much to help. I'll do what I can, but I can't do much. But I can tell you this, Ruvian will know what your next step should be. That's all I can do for you, kids. Sorry.
He refuses to be on your council. Does that make him an ally still, or?
Who can say who's really an ally these days, my friend Trueforge? Let's just say he's not really on anybody's side. He's always on Ruvian's side. If that helps.
So at least he's honest.
Oh, I didn't say that. Now, if you'd be so lucky, we're going to have a feast tonight in your honor, and there's going to be singing and dancing and fireworks, and the elves are here, and some other people have shown up, and we're going to have a great party, because it may be the last
Singing?
one to have. Oh, they'll be singing. Trust me. I brought my ukulele. All right. You have no idea what the fuck a ukulele is, by the way. Go get cleaned up. There's clothes laid out for you for the soiree. But here ends the council. Oh, pardon me. Regis. And she just goes, here ends the council. And you have my thanks, my blessings, and my sympathies. And with that, we will end the session. All right, so we now go into what is called a wrap-up, where basically each and every one of you goes ahead and sends me a private message on the Discord with your MVP for the night. This is the person whose role-playing was the best, or did the funniest thing you saw, or they really just made the game better for you in some way. But you got to give me a vote in private as to who your MVP is, and then we're going to discuss that as we go into the wrap-up. For experience, we're going to be using the default setting for experience in this one, which is the one that they basically give in the rule book for that. So let me get to it, and we're going to go around the table and ask the questions and see if anybody gets their experience. The problem is it's in a giant book, and the bookmarks aren't always the best. Passions, drive, advancement. Here we go. And where's the default advancement? Oh, come on. Here we go. Okay, page 107. So we will go ahead and we will discuss this as a group and see. You traveled to or explored a location that you have never seen before. I think we could say everybody did that. So you all get 1 XP for that. You faced dangerous foes or difficult situations. Not really. It was mostly role-playing and getting to know each other. You completed a mission or a quest or ended a significant story arc. No, but you began one, so I'll give you a point for that. You suffered a life-threatening wound or survived a serious threat to your life. Negatory. You discovered secrets of an ancient past or recovered ancient artifacts or treasures. Technically, you learned about the world and you learned about the bow and you learned a bit about the history of the races. You get 1 point for that. You worked hard or suffered a hardship to help your companions. No. Hi, cats. Are we doing this right now? Thank you. Your magic spells helped solve a situation. Nope. You interacted with another named character in a meaningful way. Did any of you interact together in a meaningful way, would you say? I'd say you all did with the NPCs and with yourselves as well. I think you did a nice job, so we'll give you 1 for that as well. Someone's keeping track of all these ones, I hope.
4.
Your wisdom or healing arts saved the day. No. You had a clever idea that helped solve a tangled situation or succeeded in a spectacular way when everything seems lost. Not really. And you actively took part in the game session. Yes, you all get 1 for that. So I believe that's 5 XP for the night.
Yes,
Whoever
sir.
wins the MVP vote is going to get a bonus XP. Okay. So let me open up my my Discord to look at the votes. I got 1. I got 2. I got 3. I got 4. I got all my votes. All right, Chris, who'd you vote for and why?
Lynn, I thought he portrayed a foreigner looking in as if we were the outsiders. The way he role played it is wherever he is, we're still the foreigners to him, and it was kind of nice. I liked it.
All right, fair enough. What was your favorite moment of the evening?
I think when your wizard showed up from Brooklyn.
Well, Onyx X. Yeah, he's a hell of a guy. All right, fair enough. Cool. I think you did good with the character. I liked a lot of the stuff you did tonight, and I like the idea that he's on a quest to reclaim his honor. So well done on that, sir. Cody, who'd you vote for and why?
I voted for Lynn. Great role playing. I mean, I thought he just played his character to the hilt. Everything, his personality, his motivations, everything. I mean, that is like good role playing. So, yeah, bravo.
Alrighty.
And
Len.
same thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what was your favorite moment?
The wizard from Brooklyn. He was awesome.
Arnagax. Listen, I had to flip a coin. It was going to be Arnagax or Belgandor. You guys got lucky. You got Arnagax. Belgandor's surly as fuck. He's not a nice man. One of the other groups is getting Belgandor, sadly, and they're going to hate it. You ever see Seventh Son?
Is that the one with Nicolas Cage? Or
No, that's Season of the Witch. Seventh Son's the one with Jeff Bridges. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a lot like Master Gregory from that, where he's got nothing nice to say and he's really hard on everybody. So
Okay.
you'll see. They'll be playing that on another night. You'll see it here live. All right, Len, who'd you vote for and why?
Cody. I can't imagine. I think Cody has to play a halfling in every game I'm ever in with him, regardless of whether or not there are halflings, because he plays them so well. They're friendly. You've got this wonderful sort of unassuming nature that slides into the sort of halfling personality absolutely perfectly. So yeah, I just thought it was just excellent and almost second nature.
Very good. And your favorite moment?
I think we're all going to, Arnagax is basically going to have stolen the show. I mean, you got a guy from Brooklyn, you got a time traveling, dimension traveling guy from Brooklyn. You get to do New York, your New York accent. He's got a cigar, and I'm from the Northeast. So, I mean, come on.
What are we talking about here? He's a great and powerful wizard. All right, Clayton, who'd you vote for and why?
It was a tough choice for me. It came down to Lynn, with Cody being a very close second. Yeah, just the personality and how he portrayed Darius was just, I think, spot on for the world that you've created here.
Okay.
And of course, Artifacts was yeah.
Arnagax, please.
Arnagax, sorry.
Horse.
I think that's
Oh,
unanimous.
yeah.
It's Onygax. Onyfax was my horse, and it's Onygax. Onyfax was my horse, and may he rest in peace.
Madness bomb.
Fair enough. I got to say, like, I liked everybody's characters a lot. I think you all did a really good job. But for me, there is no character more fun for me than Clayton's because of just who his character is. I get to explain the world through him. This is what you know because of how you were raised. You understand politics, so you know this. So as a result, he gets to be my info dump road, which is perfect. It makes me so fucking happy. Because otherwise I got to go, let me take you to a time when the world was simpler and we all things and cherries grew on rocks. It's not fun. But yeah, I think you guys all did a really good job. So I'm issuing a bonus XP to everybody for doing a good job of rolling with it. But Len, you get a second bonus one for winning the MVP for tonight. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, guys.
We will pick this up again in 2 weeks hence, 2 Fridays hence. And for all of you who watched us and hung out with us tonight, thank you so much for doing so. And if you watch this on the replay, I know you didn't learn a lot about Against the Dark Master because it was a lot of role playing and not a lot of role playing, but hopefully you got something out of it. And please, in the comments below, who's your MVP? Tell us who really rocked for you tonight from the players and what was your favorite moment of what they all went through. Anything anybody wants to say on the way out the door?
This was a blast. Thank you so much for running. And guys, thank you so much for playing.
I had a great time. Thanks, Bear.
No
Yeah,
worries.
thanks for
That was fun.
Really good.
I'm a what's the word? I'm a serial DM. I got a GM where I go crazy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging. Peace, love, geek, and thanks to these guys for playing. Everybody, do your police squad freeze because we're about to end the broadcast.